In March of 1964, I enlisted in the U.S. Army and volunteered for the paratroopers. I was assigned to the 173rd Airborne Brigade, and I fought in the war in Vietnam. I won over 100 medals, decorations, gongs, badges, promotions, and citations. I got so many decorations, I look like a fucking Christmas tree. Now, my friends, I was accused of being the leader of a gang of criminals known as the White Duds, who were junkies, murderers, drunks, stockade bums, deserters, thieves, cowards, mutant dogs, and even a cannibal. But that was totally unjust bullshit, because we never had a leader. Now, my friends, the truth is that I was America's most awesome Super Rambo Commando ever, and this is my humble story. What the hell are you staring at? I told you I won so many decorations, I'll look like a fucking Christmas tree. This is the Green Machine Fight Club gong. I got this gong in my first week of basic training. Some guy was fucking with me, so I beat the crap out of him. It was one of the few fights that I won, and I got into about a fight per month during my 3-year enlistment. This is the infamous Eskimo pussy gong. This gong hasn't been awarded since the 1970s, so it's an old-timer's gong. It was the very first gong I got when we marched around in basic training. I don't know, but I've been told Eskimo pussy is mighty cold. Other cool marching chants included, I got a girl who lives in a shack, she makes her living on her back. If I die on the Russian front, bury me with the Russian cunt. I got a girl all dressed in red, she makes her living in a feather bed. Ha ha, old timers gongs, there you have it. In August of 1964, I had completed basic training and infantry training and parachute school at Fort Benning, Georgia. I was assigned to the 173rd Airborne Brigade, which was stationed on the island of Okinawa. The 173rd Airborne Brigade was basically a light infantry outfit of about 5,000 guys. We had 2 infantry battalions, and I was assigned to the 2nd Battalion. Our nickname was the Herd, which gave us undue organizational credit, and our commanding officer was One Star Willie. Cigarettes were 10 cents a pack, girls were $2, and 10-eye whiskey was the cheapest whiskey at the post exchange. And my monthly salary was down about $150. And now it's time to meet our heroes, the infamous White Duds of the 173rd Airborne Brigade. Some of these guys were with me in the bum barracks on Okinawa, and some arrived just after we shipped to Vietnam. This is Bo. Bo was the best gunfighter of the White Duds. He saved my life once. This guy had ice water in his veins instead of blood. I'm telling you that Clint Eastwood would apologize to this guy's mule. He was a really nice guy too, if he wasn't fixing to kill you. The rumor mill said he was transferred to the 173rd because he was suspected of murdering another guy in his previous outfit. I asked him about it once and he denied it. This is Buzzy, the California dope peddler. Buzzy was a needle freak and the biggest dope peddler in Cam's Inn. He was also an acey-deucey champ and made some serious money that way. He punched above his weight but was notoriously navigationally challenged. He got 2 Purple Hearts and was my foxhole buddy and best pal. He died with a needle in his arm. Rest in peace, Buzzy. And this is my drinking buddy, the Cajun Cook. His sandwiches were quite licking good and featured a Cajun secret sauce not revealed until the making of this video. Oh my goodness. Attention. If you were an officer in the 173rd Airborne Brigade on Okinawa in 1964 or 1965, and if you ate steak sandwiches at the Officers Club on the weekends, then you had better get yourself tested for hepatitis. That is all. This is Crapula the Thieving Wop. I say again, Thieving Wop. He was the organizer of the motor pool looting ring and numerous other capitalistic shenanigans. He only had one rule, and I quote, never steal anything with a serial number, unquote. Notable gongs include the Order of the Drunken Pig, the Organized Looting Gong, and the General Ripper Knife Shooting Award. This is Dumbass. Dumbass was the very worst of the white duds. Notable gongs include the Desertion Gong with Gold Wreath, outstanding, the Junkie Gong, the Rebar Capitalist Gong, the Mutinous Dog Gong, the Escape from Controlled Custody Gongs, and gongs for hijacking, bomb making, and attempted murder. Outstanding, soldier. Now, I'm pretty sure my buddy Dumbass didn't get a good conduct medal, but he did get the Badass Barbarian Axe Fighter Gong, which I will explain later. Now, Dumbass, he was a real frisky dude. Why, he'd shove a 45 in your face for a fuck all reason when he was tripping on that goddamn Bobby juice. Now, my opinion isn't all that important, but when you hear the story of the Dumbass, you're going to decide, was he a badass barbarian axe fighter or just a plain dumbass junkie? This is Juicer. The nickname says it all. He basically went mental from too much booze or not enough booze. Take your pick. Notable gongs include the Order of the Opium Den. Tap, toke, tap, toke, tap, toke. This is Nux. His gongs include Escape from Controlled Custody, and he stole a TV set and a car. He was always going AWOL, but mostly he was noted for non-stop brawling with Marines, sailors, airmen, legs, military police, shore patrol, air police, civilian police, sergeants, snitches, and most of all, stupid motherfuckers. He simply could not stand stupid motherfuckers, especially when he was drunk, which he usually was. I think he was from Oregon, but I don't think he got a good conduct medal. No, sir. Nux also got the Order of the Bum Barracks. In fact, my bunk was just above his. The brass were keeping so many misfits that they had to double stack our bunk beds in the bum barracks. This is Lucky Luigi. Lucky was an Italian mathematical genius who figured out how to turn a 25-cent M16 round into $1 million pension for life. Outstanding. You know, the way Lucky saw it, sometimes you just got to make your own luck. So, if you happen to see some smiling old wop limping around the board of Caesar's Palace out in Vegas, tell him Shitsy said, "Hi, old buddy." Notable gongs won by Lucky include the Order of the Purple Foot, which is not to be confused with the Purple Finger, which I got, and certainly not confused with a real Purple Heart. No way. This is my good buddy, One Ball Charlie. He stole a car, stripped it, and then stole a bulldozer to bury the evidence. Outstanding. He also did a little poaching and was a serious tin-high guzzler. This was all back in the hills where he came from. He was good in the firefight, drunk or sober. I gotta allow him that. I think he was from West Virginia, but I don't think he got a good conduct medal. Oh no. Frankly, my friends, I suspect he sold his soul to the tin-high devil. Notable gongs include the Order of the Purple Gerbil. Oh, that's gotta hurt. This is Sharky. He was forever going AWOL and passing out in places where the MPs would subsequently scoop him up and return him to Cam's Inn. Notable gongs include the AWOL gong and the Order of the Opium Den, and a gong for stealing my shirt. This is my good buddy Smash the Hillbilly. Smash and I would keep a lookout for interesting stuff in Uncle Sam's inventory, and then we'd go smash it. It was lots of fun, a sort of a redneck Clockwork Orange. Now Smash, he wasn't much with his fists, but was divinely inspired when swinging any sort of glove. Yeah, you can really get on the guy. Notable gongs include the AWOL gong, the Drunken Pig gong, and the Yeehaw gong for life, liberty, and the pursuit of smashing shit. I heard he became a repo man after the war. Go get up, Smash! Now this here varmint is sure the dirty cock rat, a rodent if there ever was one. He was a junkie, a deserter, a stockade bum, an escapee from controlled custody, a jack roller, a truck hijacker, a switchblade fighter, a pothead, a sort of Jewish Wile E. Coyote. This fellow is my good buddy Super Polak. Now Super Polak, he was an ambitious fellow who was always trying to get ahead, if you follow my meaning. Yeah. Now some of the guys, they didn't like Super Polak, but I thought it was real cut up. Yeah, he was too. Notable gongs include the infamous "Sorry About That" gong. Yeah, that gong, boys and girls. You know which one I'm talking about, don't you? And now a word from our sponsor, Tin-Eye Whiskey. The whiskey that will gladly give you 1 free fifth of Tin-Eye Whiskey for your soul. Remember, Tin-Eye Whiskey is a whiskey so fine it seldom has to hire hack writers to do product placement ads. And now for a public service announcement. The gentlemen previously mentioned were white duds. The following gentlemen were not. This is the Reverend Biggest Dickus. The most pious reverend was our battalion chaplain. And just look at all these gongs he won. Let's see, what do we got here? Uh-oh. They say he was caught naked and drunk as a pig in a whorehouse. Oh my goodness, this must be a typo. And then it says he did some carpet dancing to get some miracle ketchup. Oh my goodness. I hope this is all a typo. We'll just have to wait and see if it's all true or not. Oh my goodness. This is Crazy Ed the Mexican. He was a Section 8 mental case who ran around naked with a boner while screaming gibberish in Spanish. I say again, he ran around naked with a boner while screaming gibberish in Spanish. He had a pet monkey that he tried to teach how to pull the pin on a hand grenade. He threw frags out of the chopper when we flew over Vietnamese villages. He was last seen in the lockdown ward of a VA mental hospital in California in 1993 wearing a white smock and wasting oxygen. His current whereabouts are unknown. This is Leapin' Leroy. Notable gongs include one for telling Lieutenant Ringknocker to go fuck himself, and another for self-evacuating by leaping on a dust-off chopper during a firefight, even though he wasn't wounded. That's why I call him Leapin' Leroy. I'm happy to report that Leapin' Leroy survived the war. He was from Philadelphia, and I'm pretty sure he didn't get a good conduct medal, but he did give me the "he's okay" gong, which is a lot better. Hey Leroy, muchas gracias, old buddy. This is Marty, the short-bus bandito. He did time for bank robbery after the war. Oh my goodness. He was about as big and stupido as a man can get without violating the laws of gravitational collapse. Duh. This is Sergeant It's the Bitch. He was my squad leader for the first half of my year in Vietnam. He was a big, muscular, and mean Korea veteran, and he was a rumored murderer in his previous outfit. Notable gongs include the running goot gong and the pineapple surprise cake gong. More about that later, boys and girls. Other notable gongs include holding Buzzy upside down by his ankles and slamming his, quote, useless junkie, unquote, head into the ground. It's the Bitch was drunk most of the time and pissed off all the time. I'm happy to report that he survived the war and had a long and drunk and pissed off retirement. Airborne, Sarge. This is Lieutenant Ringknocker. He was a genuine West Point graduate, and he was my platoon leader for most of my year in Vietnam. He surrounded himself with snitches and ass kissers, and he was so lame, he thought I was the leader of the White Duds. Oh well. Notable gongs include the Sucker Punch El Grande and the General Ripper Nice Shooting Award. Ha ha! More about those later. And now it's time for a look at everyday life in the 173rd Airborne Brigade on Okinawa. This is the Cat House gong. This is the first gong I earned on Okinawa. It was $2 for a short time and $5 for all night. We White Duds pretty much emptied the motor pool of sea rations and anything else without a serial number, getting money for beautiful young Japanese hookers. Those were the days, my friend. This is the Article 15 Bad Conduct gong. I got an Article 15, which is a formal punishment and remains in your record for all eternity. I was fined and compelled to dig a ditch while wearing a gas mask and confined to the bum barracks. And an Article 15 eliminates you from getting a good conduct medal. The trumped up charge was drunk on duty and some other nitpicky baloney, which I was totally innocent of but can't remember much about because I was passed out at the time. This obvious travesty of justice was why I never got a good conduct medal. So I have awarded myself this lovely bad conduct gong and stuffed the green machine. This is the order of the bum barracks and the White Duds. The bum barracks was officially a transit barracks, but was also used to house undesirables like brawlers, thieves, drunks, loafers, and guys who had been in the stockade. The rumor mill said we're all going to be court-martialed and kicked out the gate with dishonorable discharges. But nobody was court-martialed or kicked out of the army. the misfits just kept piling up in the increasingly infamous bum barracks. Now, looking back, it is probable that the Pentagon knew that the looming war in Vietnam would cause huge manpower shortages, so they just stopped throwing out the garbage, so to speak, and kept every warm body they had. Then, just before the brigade shipped for Vietnam, every last white guy in the bum barracks, not any of the black guys or Mexican Americans, was transferred to Charlie Company. I think Colonel Dexter did it to give the Charlie Company commander, Captain Mack, a punishment, but in any case, that's the day the infamous white duds were hatched and loosed on the world. This is a cigarette alarm clock gong. I got it for using a lighted cigarette as an alarm clock to cop a few Z's while on guard duty back in Okinawa. Here's how you do it. You fire up a smoke and hold it between your fingers while you conk out, and when the cigarette burns down to your fingers, it wakes you up for sure. We did this a lot on guard duty at the motor pool at night when we weren't trying to pry the locks off of doors to seal stuff. Now I know this isn't a very important or heroic gong, but I do want to give you all a true picture of what everyday life in the herd was like on Okinawa in 1964 and 1965. This punishment is called the dying cockroach. Of all the unjust punishments heaped upon me, none were more humiliating than the infamous dying cockroach position. You lay on your back with your arms and leg pointed straight up, hence the name dying cockroach. And you must endure whatever verbal abuse the insensitive and brutal sergeants heap upon you. Clearly, this torment should either be abolished or the green machine should stop allowing malingerers like me to enlist. I was in the dying cockroach position so often, I was starting to grow antennae. This gong is a sleeping with an entrenching tool in your hand gong. In the bum barracks, most guys, including your hero, slept with an entrenching tool in their hand because guys would stagger in crazy drunk after a night of boozing and attack anyone they had a hassle with. These entrenching tools made great clubs when folded. This is another minor gong to let you know what life in the 173rd Airborne Brigade was like on Okinawa back in 1964 and 65. This is a perplexing chicken or egg gong, which I got for having the highest IQ in my battalion, as indicated by a score of 140 on my official United States Army GT test. I achieved this lofty score by getting the right answer to the ancient question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Now, because I'm a generous guy, I'll gladly email the answer to anyone donating $140 to my Patreon page. This is the I didn't feed the sticking loan shark gong. This is the gong I got for not borrowing money from our resident loan sharks. Interest rates were 50% or 100%, and loans were repayable on payday. The 2nd Battalion had 2 loan sharks. One was a Jew and one was an Italian, or maybe it's the other way around. And one was a white dud and the other one wasn't, or maybe it's the other way around. This loan sharking only went on in Okinawa. Loan sharking stopped in Vietnam due to debtors getting killed before payday, not to mention being heavily armed. This is a yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum gong. This gong was awarded for being part of an organized military looting gang. I was part of Carpula, the thieving swap motor pool looting gang, so I get this gong. The thieving wop would figure out what we could steal, and we'd load it on trucks and go to the civilian truck cleaners where we got cash for it. Almost all soldiers steal as a matter of course, but the more industrious ones, such as your hero, join looting gang. Here's my advice to the brass. Never assign a guy to the motor pool if his name ends in a vowel. This is a run or get plucked gone. The first time I ran for my life was on Okinawa when my two white dud buddies, Thomas Emery and the Cajun cook, and I had to hoof it from a platoon of drunk jarheads who were intent on celebrating the Marine Corps birthday by kicking our doggy asses, unquote, all the way from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. But not only did I outrun my two buddies, but by quick thinking worthy of Napoleon himself, I led the boozed-up boneheads into a cunning ambush from which my white dud buddies and I escaped, but was a Stalingrad for the juiced-up jarheads. Ha ha, yes, sir. But to show my love for old pals in the 3rd Marines, I've rewritten a bit of their ass-kissy hymn. Here it is. If the jarheads and the sailor boys ever look on heaven's scenes, they will find that the place has been looted and burnt to the ground by the airborne infantry. Yee-haw! This is a beer bottle head bash gong. Actually, I didn't get this gong till I was at Fort Puke and smashed a quart bottle of Lone Star beer on the head of a jumping junkie at the EM Club. But what the fuck, we're talking bar fighting, which makes for cool stories, so here it is. And as you might suspect, I got another run or get plucked gong, yeah. Immediately after I laid that motherfucker out, he got back up. Bonk! Then he and another jigaboo took off after me. But my friends in my prime, I could actually outrun most black guys. So Amos and Andy watched my heels disappear into the Louisiana night. So long, dudes. I'll send y'all a postcard from New Orleans. This is the Order of the Fearless Commander, awarded for outstanding military actions. For example, General Erich von Manstein at the 3rd Battle of Crackhead, where he snatched victory from the jaws of defeat by luring the pursuing Russian armies into a huge ambush of geographic scale, then cutting them off, and then cutting them to pieces. Now me, I got my Order of the Fearless Commander for luring a platoon of drunken pursuing jarheads into a trap of a dozen or so MPs, thus snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. Airborne. You will notice that the Fearless Commander picture on the right is actually a self-portrait. Thank you very much. This is the Cajun cook. My white dud drinking buddy, the Cajun cook, hated officers. I mean, he hated officers so much, he was rumored to be the Cape Crusader, an urban legend sort of enlisted man who stalked officers at night and tuned them up big time. I mean, like beat the crap out of them. At the officers' club, the officers could order steak sandwiches, so the Cajun cook would first secretly rub the steaks on his crotch and then fry them on a corner of the grill reserved for this particular treat. Sounds yummy, doesn't it? Would y'all like another Cajun special steak sandwich, sir? It's no trouble at all. This is a sucker punch gong. During my tour of mayhem with the 173rd Airborne Brigade, I was on both ends of this uninvited gong. I lost a tooth one time and damn near busted a knuckle another time. Note to doobies, I recommend the ye old kick 'em the balls and run like hell gong because it gives one a longer head start when working on the inevitable running for your fucking life gong. There you have it, boys. This is the yeehaw gong. I got it for running a convoy of USMC mini tanks off the road with my 2.5 ton truck while I was pig drunk on 10 high whiskey. Here's how I got it. I was dead drunk on 10 high and taking my truck on a ramming speed joyride on a 1-lane dirt road in the back hills of Okinawa in a United States Marine Corps firing range. And I topped the hill, and there was a convoy of these goofy-looking USMC dumbass mini tanks dead ahead. What to do? Yeehaw! I didn't wimp out and try to stop. I put the pedal to the metal and ran them all off the road. And when I looked in the rearview mirror, they were making obscene gestures at me and yelling things that I suspect were quite rude. Ha ha! Airborne. From the bars of Montezuma to the whorehouses of Tripoli, we got our sorry asses run off the road by the airborne infantry. Airborne! This is a drunk parachuting gone. While the 173rd was stationed on Okinawa, we went on maneuvers in Taiwan, and, being paratroopers, we jumped in. I managed to sneak off the runway and buy some booze and was dead drunk when we took off, and I was barbarian drunk by the time we reached the drop zone. Bark, 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 bark. Will our hero survive his drunken parachute shenanigan, and will he collect another Article 15? To find out, buy my intoxicated memoir available on Amazon, The White Duds, A Real-Life Teenage Dirty Dozen in Vietnam. This is the carpet dancing gong, also known as the Fred Astaire gong. Just about every guy who has been in the military has gotten a few of these. I got my first in Okinawa when I got an Article 15 for drunk on duty and some other minor stuff. I got my last one the day I was discharged at Fort Puke when I was informed that I would not get a good conduct medal due to the Article 15 on Okinawa. In all, I think I did the Fred Astaire carpet dance fast step about a dozen times. To get this gong, the carpet dance must be performed before a commissioned officer in his office. Dance, you motherfuckers. This is the tree jumper gong. When the herd went on maneuvers on Taiwan, 3 2nd Battalion guys did a tree jumper thing and left boot prints. If you don't know where the tree jumper is, I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, the brass ordered them all to stand next to their tents with their boots so they could be checked for size. I don't know if they were ever identified, but note that this was not uncommon on Okinawa, where it only cost $2 a pop, but some guys just can't seem to get off unless they break a bone or two. In case you haven't figured it out yet, the White Duds had nothing to do with this. End of story. This is the order of the stockadium. I was threatened with being sent to the stockade by every superior in my chain of command, all the way up to the brigade executive officer. He promised to, quote, kick my ass all the way there, unquote, and all because of a bottle of 10 high whiskey that didn't know how to do a proper parachute landing fall, and thus broke when it fell out of my locker during an inspection in the bum barracks. My friends, I think the 10 high devil was tormenting me for purely recreational purposes. This is a run from the MPs gone. One night I made the mistake of going out bar hopping with Nux, and in a bar full of Marines. After Nux had a few drinks, he discovered that all the Marines were stupid motherfuckers, unquote. Nux actually picked one up and threw him while I kicked one of the gerbils and ran out that door immediately. Now, I think the MPs were parked in the street outside and saw us, but in any case, they were soon chasing us, but they were easy to outrun as usual. My advice to newbie bar brawlers: never play cards with a guy called Doc, and never go out bar hopping with a guy called Nux. This is the kick him in the gerbils and run like hell gong. I got this gong in the aforementioned adventure with Nux. I also got this gong once at the civilian. One thing for sure, don't forget the second part. One day we got the word we were going to Vietnam. All leaves and passes were canceled. We were taken to the firing range and the sergeants broke open crates of brand new M16 assault rifles and handed them out to replace our M14s. Forms listing our next of kin were updated. The younger soldiers were ecstatic at the news, but the older sergeants who had fought in Korea went about their preparations with a grim and stoic attitude. And here's a quote from Publius Flavius Renatus, a Roman historian. Quote, "No great dependence is to be placed on the eagerness of young soldiers for combat, because fighting is agreeable only to those who are strangers to it," unquote. And on the right side, you'll have a picture here of my Roman ancestor, Rufus Fastus, who deserted the day before the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest because his legion was completely out of 10 High whiskey. And besides, he told the guys, "Hey, look, if we go into that triple canopy jungle, those barbarians are going to cut us to pieces because we'll be out of catapult support range." This totally ignorant gong is the order of the Switchblade and the Mohawk. The lifer screws informed us that we would be parachuting into godless commie heathen territory, and thus were issued really cool switchblade knives for cutting our sorry asses out of any grabby commie heathen trees. So we all gave each other Mohawk haircuts, which is a paratrooper tradition. Then we all got barbarian drunk, another paratrooper tradition. And then we all got into drunken switchblade fights, a paratrooper tradition added by the 173rd Airborne. Most of these fights were just joking around stuff, but some got out of hand, and the guys would toss the dago toad stairs and start swinging trenching tools. Welcome to the 173rd Airborne Brigade, Okinawa, 1965. Hear ye, hear ye. This here Presidential Unit Citation is hereby awarded to the infamous white duds of the infamous 173rd Airborne Brigade in recognition of demolishing and tearing down a cat house until nothing but the foundation remained. Such notable and noble act occurring on the island of Okinawa in 1965. Now, I'm pretty sure that soldiers of days and centuries past have torn down countless bars and whorehouses, but I've never read about such an incident. Therefore, to ensure that such an outstanding deed is not forgotten and lost to history, I do hereby award this unit citation to the above described white duds. Way to go, boys. On May the 7th, 1965, the 173rd Airborne Brigade deployed to Bien Hoa, Vietnam. Its primary mission was to first secure the sprawling United States Air Force Base at Bien Hoa, and then drive out all VC and North Vietnamese units from around Saigon back across the border into Cambodia. On our very first night in Vietnam, Corpula, the thieving wop, became the first guy in the herd to open fire on the enemy. Outstanding. Here's how it happened. The thieving wop was guzzling Jack Daniels to steady his nerves while standing guard at Benoit Air Base, and who should attack but Ho Chi Minh himself? Bark! So the thieving wop opened fire and riddled the charging commie until he was out of ammo. Outstanding, soldier. Flashlights revealed that Ho Chi Minh was actually a roll of Kamawar. Oh my goodness. And the empty bottle of old number 7. Outstanding, soldier. Nevertheless, the thieving wop gets the gong for being the first guy in the herd to fight. So our hero gets the General Ripper knife shooting gong and the drunken pig gong for disgracing himself while drunk. Outstanding. Just after our arrival, the 2nd Battalion made us camp near a rubber tree plantation just outside of the Benoit Air Base. We dug bunkers, and then the monsoon started, and the bunkers flooded, and we had to stand guard duty in these flooded bunkers and muddy water up to our chins. Camp Zen was a huge mud puddle during the rainy season because the land was flat and the water simply had no place to go. We sent out patrols during the day and set up ambushes at sunset, but nothing much happened at first, except a lieutenant named Zen was killed, and our camp was named after him. This is the Agent Orange gong. Probably most of the GIs in Vietnam got this gong, and most of the Vietnamese civilians got this gong as well. The area around the very important Benoit Air Base was heavily sprayed with Agent Orange, and that included Camp Zen. The Veterans Administration eventually sent me a letter stating that their decision to rate me as 100% disabled was based partly on my being exposed to Agent Orange. This is another award of the General Ripper knife shooting gong. This time, the gong for goofus gunnery goes to the herd's chopper jockeys. When we were camping in the rubber tree plantation, some guys were burning out a latrine. A door gunner on an approaching whirlybird thought the smoke was backblast from an RPG rocket, and he opened up, riddling the latrine with machine gun rounds. Outstanding, soldier. If there's one thing we emphasize in the 173rd Airborne Brigade, it's situational awareness. Outstanding. This is the helmet bath gong. For the first month in Vietnam, we only had water for drinking and 0 water for bathing. We all got heat rash and were totally miserable. Then we were each issued a helmet of water for taking a bath. Yes, my friends, you can take a complete bath and rinse with only a helmet full of water, and this should be taught in basic training. Today, One Ball Charlie got his numerical nickname. He was on point, and a bamboo whip with a spike got him just below the belt. Oh, that's got hurt. While he was in the field hospital, the rumor mill said one of his gerbils was sliced off. Oh! But when he got back to Camp Zen, he still had both, but everybody started calling him One Ball, and it stuck. So, One Ball Charlie got the Order of the Purple Gerbil. I think he was the first white dud to get hit. And he also gets a normal Purple Heart, too. This is the black market money changing gong. The Army paid us in script to try to stop us from buying drugs. But Buzzy and I were good at making contacts with Chinese merchants, you might say, to change script for US dollars. That's how Buzzy got a big head start as Camp Zen's biggest drug dealer. Here's what the script looked like. This is a hot landing zone gone. My very first helicopter ride ended at a hot LZ. Mortar rounds were air bursting over the landing zone, and we all hoofed it for the wood line. I think only one guy was hit. This is a watermelon head gone. Imagine smashing a watermelon with a sledgehammer. That's what it looks like when you shoot someone in the head with a burst from an assault rifle. I saw my first watermelon head on the first day of our first search and destroy mission, and I saw many more during my year of duty with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, and fuck you, motherfucker, blam, blam, blam. This is the barfing cherry gong. This is the gong I got for barfing just after my first firefight, so we'll just call it the barfing cherry gong. Now, lots of guys barf their first time out, so it's no big deal. And be advised that I never got the two closely related gongs, the crapping in your pants gong, or the peeing on yourself gong. Bleh! This is a walking point gong. The worst two words you could hear in Vietnam were "take point," and they were often the last two words a lot of guys heard. One time the NVA ambushers set off a claymore when I was on point. No shrapnel hit me, but I was so close the explosion knocked me unconscious, and I didn't remember a thing, and I didn't even know about it till another guy in my platoon told me about it 50 years later. Despite what you may think, and despite what the Army may tell you, there is nothing really effective that you can do on point in dense triple canopy jungle to prevent yourself being killed. In reality, you are just a slab of meat whose sole purpose is to set off the NVA claymores, thus alerting the artillery guys on the other end of the radio to the position of the enemy. You are bait on a hook. Okay, here's your instructions. Simply walk straight ahead until you hear a loud explosion, kaboom! Feel yourself falling, and then see a big, red, ugly motherfucker handing you a shovel. Welcome to hell, motherfucker. It's almost as bad as the 173rd Airborne Brigade. This is a B-52 Rolling Thunder shaking the ground like jello gong. On June the 18th, B-52 bombers were used in combat for the first time. 27 B-52s from Guam bombed suspected NVA bases north of Saigon. Two of the B-52s collided with each other, killing 8 crewmen. The B-52s were flying too high for us grunts to see or hear them, but we heard the bombs going off, and their shock waves made the ground shake like jello. It was like walking on a huge bowl of vibrating jello, and it was scary, so I get this bouncy gong. This is the infamous running goop gong. I bagged mine during the misnamed Operation New Life, when an unarmed male goop ran from a patrol I was in. I didn't shoot him, it's the bitch did. When we got to him, he was still alive, but all fucked up. Now, you know what time it is now, don't you, kiddies? That's right. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, fuck you, motherfucker, blam, blam, blam. It's the bitch that over him and shot him in the heart. If it's the bitch would have shot him in the head too, I guess the bitch would have gotten the LBJ hearts and minds gone. Ha ha. Alright, boys and girls, now it's time for a public service announcement from our friend and sponsor, the Tin High Devil himself. These are the Tin High Devil's rules of combat. Rule number 1, when you ride with the devil makes the rules. Rule number 2, Apparently you haven't been paying attention. You are not the devil, so go back to rule number 1 until you've got it memorized. Rule number 3, don't get your panties in a twist. There's no point in it. Instead, pour yourself some 10 High whiskey. The whiskey's so fine, the devil himself humps a fifth in his pack. And make mine a double. This is the Zippo gong. Ha! You should have heard those toothless old mama sons bawl and bitch when we zippoed up their stupid grass houses. The simple bitches didn't understand that we were fighting communism. And besides, those hooches clearly weren't the property of the Coca-Cola Corporation, so we wouldn't have to answer anybody, so up and smoke they win. This is a gong for shooting communist chicken. One day, the 3rd Platoon burnt down a small village and shot all the chickens. They were communist chickens, no doubt of it. One had a copy of the Chicken Manifesto, and then they all started singing the Internationale in Chinese, a known communist song. Now, if there's one thing that pisses me off, it's somebody fucking with my head when I'm high and just want to mellow out. And the chicken said to Chitsy, "Oh, please, sir, don't take my life. I got 4 little children and a sickly wife." And Chitsy shot that chicken. He shot that poor chicken so bad that the bullet went through the chicken and hit Lieutenant Ringknocker in the ass. Da-dum-da-dum. This is the gong for shooting a water buffalo with a rocket. An unknown 3rd Platoon guy shot a water buffalo with an LAW rocket. Old MacNuyen had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on this farm he had a cow, E-I-E-I-O. And what do you think we did now? E-I-E-I-O. We shot a rocket, it went kapow, E-I-E-I-O. It's goodbye cow, it's hamburgers now, E-I-E-I-O. And how about a side of freedom fries, E-I-E-I-O. This is the following a blood trail gong. This activity will keep you alert no matter what stuff you've been tripping on. And if you catch up with Leaky Luke the dying gook, it's. Now you know what special time it is, boys and girls, don't you? Yeah, it's winter, chicken dinner, fuck you motherfucker, blam, blam, blam. This is a Marius's mules gong. Gaius Marius was a Roman general who lived from BC 157 to BC 86. His many military accomplishments included the so-called Marian reforms, which included dramatically increasing the equipment his soldiers carried to the weight of about 60 to 80 pounds. This was not popular with his troops, who started calling themselves, quote, Marius's mules, unquote. Now, because I humped 80 pounds of stuff for about 200 days of my year in Vietnam, I can testify that Marius was right if you are talking healthy young males in their prime. When my year was up, my legs were in such fine shape that I outran a sergeant on my last day in country, even though I was hungover. This entitles me to another gong, the Humpus Muchus Gongus, depicted on the right. And the young Roman legionnaire there was my Roman ancestor, Hufus Light Duty Fastus, who accidentally dropped his gladius on his foot the day the Marian reforms were announced. Oh, and spent the remainder of his career as a chariot driver. It's even said that one day he ran an entire column of Roman marine chariot catapults off the road on the Appian Way. Whoa. Be advised that there are 3 types of running for your life gongs. The Socrates gong is a gong of practical military valor and is awarded for running from a conventional military enemy, in my case, the NVA. The second kind, the Fat Pigs Can't Run gong, is for running for cops, either military or civilian. The third kind, the Run or Get Plucked gong, is for all other sorts of running, including from sergeants, other military units, civilians, merchants, and drug banditos. Well, how about that, boys and girls? 3 kinds of run gongs, and I got all 3. Airborne. This is the fake sick call gong. I never went on sick call prior to Vietnam. But in Vietnam, they started handing out Darvon painkiller pills for almost any complaint. So I developed a multitude of painful conditions, and the sneering medic would give me a generous ration of Darvon pills about once a week. They were good stuff, and if you took 5 or 6 or more, or even a handful, they made you feel like you were walking on a big air mattress, and all the aches and pains from humping an 80-pound pack all day just disappeared. Good stuff. This is the getting kicked out of your tent by your buddies for being a drunken, vomiting pig gong. And after they dump poor unconscious me next to the latrine, the disgusting animal sniffs me out to the first sergeant, and I missed a promotion from useless piece of shit 3rd class to useless piece of shit 4th class. But hey, I didn't give a flying fuck because I was full of tin high whiskey. The whiskey's so fine that you don't care about being thrown out of the tent or any other bullshit because you're still alive for another day, and thanks be to your one and only true friend, the Tin High Devil. This is a bullet magnet gong. A bullet magnet is a guy who attracts bullets to his vicinity somehow, which hit those close to him, but never himself. I soon got the reputation of the bullet magnet, and there was a sort of joke going around the platoon. If you want a Purple Heart, get next to Chittum, because a lot of guys did get hit right next to me. But understand that I owe my survival not to blind luck or even my scientifically applied cowardice, but also to a secret clause in my contract with, you guessed it, the Tin High Devil. Drink up, brother. This is the Order of the Purple Foot gong. This gong is not to be confused with the Purple Heart, which good soldiers get, or the Purple Finger, which guys like me got. This gong is awarded solely for injuring yourself to avoid combat. My white dud buddy Lucky Luigi was the first guy in the 2nd Battalion to get one when he intentionally shot himself in his foot to avoid combat. He borrowed my M16 to do it, and only by the grace of the Tin High Devil did I escape punishment by Lieutenant Ringknocker. After Lucky Luigi got his ticket home, lots of guys started shooting themselves, and brigade headquarters had to start handcuffing them all and marching them straight to the stockade to stop this rash of self-inflicted gunshot wounds to avoid combat. This is the gong for the junkies who set the ammo bunker on fire. The fucking junkies were cooking up their fucking poppy juice in the fucking ammo bunker. That's right, the ammo bunker. Can you guess what the fuck happened? There was a lot of shouting, and then out of the ammo bunker came a great cloud of smoke and a whole shitload of running junkies. Your hero instantly hoofed it and jumped into a drainage ditch. A brave sergeant managed to put the fire out. It would have made for a greater gong if the junkies would have blown the ammo bunker to bits and half of Camp Zen along with it, but there is still outstanding glory for guys who would light a fire in an ammo bunker. Some were white duds and some were not. This is a little known bicycle thief gong. I got this gong when we Frisky Herd guys allegedly rioted at the Benoit Airfields Enlisted Men's Club and supposedly demolished it. I must have gone over the bar and snatched a bottle of tin-eye whiskey, because that's what I had when I stole some dumbass Zoomie's bicycle and was subsequently detained by an insensitive brute, the battalion sergeant major. Now, of course, this is a minor decoration compared to my other numerous heroic gongs, but like all true military heroes, I'm modest and never peddle tales of stolen valor. Unless it has wheels. This is the Order of the Cabron Grande. I got this mucho macho gong for my speedy heroism running from the Frito Banditos, a gang of low-life dope peddlers up in Bravo Company, when the deal went south. Well, the machetes came out, and Buzzy and Habu and I had to run for our lives, and here's what they called us while we were hoofing it: Madre Chingas, Maricones, Pentejos, and Pichiputos, which mean, respectively, motherfuckers, fags, assholes, and little whores. Now, Cabron Grande literally translates as big goat, but generally means something like backstabbing pricks. And that's how I got the Order of the Cabron Grande. Ain't you jealous? This is a combat coffle badge. This is not a gong, but a horizontal badge like the combat infantry badge. We rounded up Vietnamese men of military age and tied them together by their necks. We shot their livestock and burnt their houses. We handed out some free stuff like candy bars for the TV crews, like Walter Cronkite. Mission accomplished. This is the Order of the Alamo gong for famous last stands. One day at Camp Zen, we were informed of a notorious bar in Benoit that was strictly off limits. About 5 or 6 of us white dudes managed to go AWOL, and we headed straight for the aforementioned watering hole. Just as we were ordering our first round of drinks, a jeep load of MPs strolled in. Bark! We retreated into a room behind the bar, hoping to find a back door to an alley, but it was a storage room and there was no exit. After frantic shouting, we resolved to fight our way out, and we armed ourselves with brooms and mops and anything else laying around. But the MPs were sitting at a table laughing. They had just gotten off duty, and they were there for the same purpose as we were, hookers and drugs, so we joined them in a good time with handball. So I get this Alamo gong for almost being in a last stand situation. Did you know that Davy Crockett and the boys at the Alamo were fixing to run up the white flag when one of them found a whole barrel of tin-high whiskey? And the rest is history, as they say. This is a very scary crack of death gong. I got this attention-getting gong several times when an AK-47 round came so close to my head that its shockwave made a sort of crack sound, kind of like a firecracker going off. You don't want this scary gong, amigos? But on the other hand, it's better than getting one to the head, right, boys? This is the fuck you motherfucker blam 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 gong. One night, 2 sergeants were playing acey-deucey, and there was some sort of dispute. One grabbed his M16, shouted, "Fuck you, motherfucker," and then wasted the other guy with a blam blam blam. All this greatly alarmed me and Buzzy, who were passing by, minding our own business on a dope run. So I get this fuck you motherfucker blam 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 gong. I was around this sort of stuff a lot in the herd, and it's almost always the same. It's fuck you motherfucker, then blam blam blam. Also, fuck you motherfucker blam 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 would make a great title for a spaghetti western. This is the order of the Most High and contented opium den. One day in Saigon, 3 naughty little piggies went to an opium den. Chitsy, Juicer, and Super Polak. Every time the mama son tapped the pipe, the naughty little piggy Juicer would take a toke. But unfortunately, Juicer, being a naughty little piggy, took too much, way too much. The naughty little piggy Juicer got so blotto that the other 2 naughty little piggies had to pick him up and carry him out. Now me personally, I was too chicken to try any because I was afraid that the big bad wolf might show up in the form of Chinese gangsters or the military police, so I kept my rebar handy and Super Polak had a .45, so we hauled ass and survived yet another awesome white dud adventure and got yet another well-deserved gong. This is the order of the rebar gong. I carried a length of rebar on my dope runs with Buzzy and other capitalist shenanigans. There was lots of stuff at Camp Zen that would lay out jerks, but they all made lots of noise. Buzzy had a .45 pistol and lots of guys started getting pistols for self-protection. Some had pistols sent to them by their families and some just stole them. Welcome to Dodge City, aka Camp Zen. I got this really stupid tear gas gong when we were in the Mekong Delta. The boneheads at brigade headquarters dropped it from choppers. Well, Crazy Ed's monkey would have done a better job because a cloud of it drifted over to where we were and we were gassed. Now, I'm not saying it was really all that bad. It wasn't. But by golly, I was gassed for my country, so by golly, I get a gong for it. This is the gong for drinking rice paddy water. The first time I got it, a new guy begged a drink from my canteen because he had already drank all of his. When he raised his head above the rice paddy dike to drink from my canteen, a sniper shot him clean through the head. I guess I should have warned him about that. Oh well. More importantly, Butterfinger dropped my canteen, which began to gurgle and fill up with paddy water and blood and pieces of brain. Waste not, want not. I retrieved my canteen and the precious water and drank it just like usual. The second time I got this gong, I was about to pass out from thirst, so I stuck my face into the rice paddy to drink, but first I had to use my hand to shove away a water buffalo turd. And now I'd like to say thanks to the Tin High Devil, because after you've had Tin High whiskey, then brains, blood, and water buffalo shit all mixed up together don't seem all that bad. So, always put a fifth of Tin High whiskey, the devil's favorite bourbon, in your field pack. Airborne. This is the Wag the Dog gong, awarded for participating in military operations undertaken for the camera and for propaganda. I got mine when we staged a phony river crossing for Walter Cronkite in his fake news camera. I was volunteered by It's the Bits to be the only swimmer in a rubber ducky raft full of non-swimming blacks and Mexicans. I think the bitch's plan was to accidentally sink the rubber ducky raft with an M16 round or two so that the non-swimmers would cling to me and drag me down with them. We rowed the rubber ducky inflatable rafts across some river and then we rowed them back. There was no rubber ducky river crossing or assault. It was all fake footage. But I did get this interesting gong. I think it's a bit of Art Deco style with maybe a touch of Andy Warhol. What do y'all think? This is a badass barbarian axe fighter gong, which is awarded for walking point armed only with an axe instead of a gat. The only known recipient is my white dud buddy dumbass, who threw his M16 away as part of his cunning plan to avoid combat. Right. He was forthwith issued with an axe by Sergeant It's a Bitch and was compelled to take his turn walking point just like always. Dumbass was probably the only guy to walk point with an axe since the Viking berserkers, but as you might suspect, the only thing Dumbass had in common with the Viking berserkers was that he was also fucked on drugs all the time. He moaned and groaned and whimpered until a guy got shot, and then Dumbass grabbed his M16. Dumbass was exactly like Franco in the movie The Dirty Dozen, and I mean he was exactly like him. Not content to rest on his laurels, Dumbass went on to win even more gongs, including ones for desertion, mutiny, incitement to mutiny, escape from custody, and attempted murder. He was an inspiration to us all. This is a ding-dong concussion gong. Ding-dong. I got this brain-banging gong several times. From artillery rounds, a frag, a claymore mine, and an unidentified exploding something or other. The first time was down in the Mekong Delta when two 105 artillery rounds impacted near me, killing the guy next to me and at least one other guy. What's it like? Well, it's kind of like guzzling dead-eye whiskey. You stagger around in circles and nothing makes any sense and you can't hear anything. So, always stock up on 10-eye whiskey because there's an artillery round in every bottle. Kaboom! This is the copping Z's and smoking weed in the bush gong. And this is how Buzzy and I did it. At night we'd huddle together under a poncho, and then we'd drape a towel over our heads, and then we'd zippo up a joint and mellow out. Now smoking a whole joint under that poncho real quick not only got you buzzed from the weed, but you got buzzed from oxygen depletion too. And when we put out the roach and put our heads out of the poncho to get some air, we got a wicked rush from hyperventilating, which we did on purpose. I called it the Central Highlands Rush. And then we'd have maybe some tin high and maybe some pills, which Buzzy was an expert on, but not me. And that's how I got my copping Z's and smoking weed in the bush gong. This is a story of Lieutenant Ringnocker's first drug shakedown. Everybody in the tent had to stand at attention beside their cots. Ringnocker and his pet snitches and ass kissers strode past all the others and stopped at my cot first. Ringnocker growled at me, "Chittum, if you hand over all your dope needles and dope stuff right now, you'll spend a lot less time in the stockade." Unquote. I didn't hand over anything and I denied everything. So Ringnocker and his ass kissers went through the stuff in my footlocker. Finding nothing, they searched the stuff of every other guy in the platoon and still found nothing, at which point they returned to my footlocker and literally tore some stuff apart and still found El Zippo nothing. And then with their panties and a horribly painful twist, they confiscated most of my stuff, including all the stuff I hadn't even stolen. I ask you, what is this world coming to, huh? But I did get the innocent lamb gong from needing drug shakedown. And then I went to the berm and got all the dope I hid and got really, really high. Airborne. This is the gong for getting a big fat 45 automatic pistol stuck in your face. I had big fucking fat 45 caliber pistols stuck in my face twice while I was in the 173rd Airborne Brigade. And I mean right in my face with some pushy boozed up, doped up psycho blabbering about motherfucker this or motherfucker that or motherfucker something else. Now, I've had just about every gat in Tony Montana's gun rack pulled on me, but the auto pistol in the face is the scariest by far. Why? I'll tell you why. Most guys who pack pistols are psychos just itching to watermelon somebody's head for recreational purposes. That's why they stick it right in your face so they can watch your brain fly. And they can usually be counted on to empty the whole fucking magazine for the same reason. Remember that, boys and girls, if you ever want to go riding with the devil. This is the order of the purple finger gong. I got it when a piece of spent shrapnel hit my leg and resulted in a few drops of blood. I moaned and groaned to the medic for a dust-off, but the heartless brute just blew cigarette smoke in my face and flipped me the bird. I should have gotten a Purple Heart, but all I got was a finger, so 50 years later, I went to a tattoo parlor and had a Purple Heart tattooed on my leg, and here it is. And plus I get the Order of the Purple Finger too. The Ancient Order and International Brotherhood of Tank Stealers and Joyriders gone. I got this coveted beauty when I tried to steal an M60 tank from the 1st Infantry Division. Sadly, my friends, I could not get it to start, so I cut loose and stole cases of beer and sea rations that were strapped to it. And will my critics please note that I was not some mere materialist seeking worldly gain. I had zero intent on selling any of it to Chinese gangsters like my dear friend Sugar the Dirty Cock Rat, who would embarrass Wile E. Coyote. No, my friends, my soul simply sprouted wings and soared, with some help from some weed and the Tin High Devil himself. This is the Bunny Riot gong. Some herd officers invited Playboy bunnies to Camp Zen. They accepted, and the result was a riot depicted in the Hollywood movie Apocalypse Now. Lots of us were trucked to Benoit for the show, but I split to go score some weed, so I wasn't at the actual riot, so I don't get this gong, but my buddies do. The next day, there were 3 commissioned officers in our tent screaming simultaneously and threatening us all with immediate shipment to the jumping junkies. Wow, that was a record of some sort. The hassle was that there had been a riot at the bunny show. Ha! Imagine that. All those perfect young bunny boobs dangled in front of hundreds of horny teenage boys who were full of booze and drugs that night with throbbing strip music blasted at them, and nobody could foresee that there would be a riot. Outstanding. That riot in the Apocalypse Now movie really happened, and the White Duds led the way. This is the I Saw a Tiger Cage gong. After a Claymore ambush and a brief firefight, we shot our way into an NVA base camp. I'd guess it was big enough for maybe at least 100 guys. It had no bomb or artillery shell craters in it, indicating that we did not know it was there previous to the firefight today. It was in triple canopy jungle and impossible to spot from the air. It was a complex of trenches and bunkers not unlike Camp Zen. Then I saw a few tiger cages. They were made of bamboo and about 4 feet by 4 feet. There was not enough room to stand up or lay down. They were empty but gave me an instant chill. I resolved that I would fight to the death rather than be taken prisoner and wind up in one of those damn chicken coops. The NVA had foxed us again. They got about 5 or 6 of us and skedaddled without any casualties. All we got were some rusty old gas, good only as trophies and a phony baloney victory picture. This is a rape and rampage gong. The Green Machine gave guys 3-day passes, officially known as rest and recuperation passes, but we frisky GIs called them rape and rampage passes. This gong is awarded for outstanding conduct on such a R&R run. Mine included 3 days of hookers, booze, drugs, AWOL, theft, and cannibalism in lovely Vung Tau, Vietnam. This is a gong for parachuting into drop zone shish kebab, which I almost got, but I'm glad I didn't. Okay, the boneheads at Brigade thought it would be a cool idea to make a combat parachute jump so they could all have a cute little gold star on their jump wings. At the last minute, the jump was canceled, and we went in by choppers as usual. Why? Here's why. We humped right past the drop zone, and it was covered with hundreds of bamboo stakes several feet high. Ooh, that would hurt. The NVA had foxed us again. Not only did they know we were playing a parachute assault, but they knew the exact location of the drop zone. Outstanding, you boneheads at Brigade. Welcome to Camp Zen, home of the 2nd Battalion of the 173rd Airborne Brigade. Hey, let's take a closer look at this big billboard that they have erected right in the middle of Camp Zen. By golly, it must be something they're very proud of. Oh my goodness, what is depicted in the upper left corner of this billboard? By golly, it looks like a human ear cut off by a machete and strung on a necklace. Oh my goodness, let's see if we can find out what gang of barbarians are doing this. Oh my goodness, this is about my old company, Charge and Charlie Company of the 2nd Battalion. And check out that picture showing a human ear cut off by a machete and strung on a necklace. And bear in mind that this sign was in a showcase battalion and was seen by numerous visiting dignitaries, including congressmen and members of the press. As far as I know, this is the only sign ever erected by any U.S. Army outfit that both depicts and encourages and even brags about the mutilation of the dead bodies of the enemy. Outstanding. My friends, I think it's time for a little miracle catch-up. Here we go. Hear ye, hear ye. This here Presidential Unit Citation is hereby awarded to the 2nd Battalion of the 173rd Airborne Brigade in recognition of being the only unit of the United States Army ever to erect a billboard that depicts and encourages and even brags about the mutilation of the bodies of the dead enemy. Outstanding. This is the gong I got for coming in 3rd place in a cannibal blood drinking contest. That's right, a cannibal blood drinking contest. I won this yummy gong in a beer and blood chugging contest against a Green Beret and a Vietnamese Ranger with an eye patch in a bar in Vung Tau. Now I'm talking real human blood here. The Ranger scraped the dried human blood out of a pill bottle and put it in the beer, and then we had the chugging contest. Glug, glug, glug. It was almost as bad as 10 high whiskey. This is the order of the signifying monkey. One day, one of the black guys in the platoon told me that because I was such a righteous white dude, that he was going to recite to me a poem that black people were never supposed to tell to white people. It was some gibberish about a monkey high in a tree that insulted an elephant and the elephant's mother, and the mouthy monkey even boasted that he would kick the elephant's ass. The elephant challenged the monkey to come down from the tree and fight, but the monkey just kept shouting insults and empty threats from the safety of the tree. But Mr. Monkey was so stoned that he fell out of the tree, at which point the elephant kicked the crap out of him. Now, this really happened to me, and the guy seemed totally serious about me never telling anyone, especially a black person, that he had recited this poem to me. It was all I could do to keep a straight face and not bust out laughing when I heard all this ridiculous gibberish, so therefore I get this cool gong. Oh, by the way, this signified monkey poem is actually on YouTube, and you can hear it yourself if you want. This is a bipolar, paranoid, schizophrenic gong. The sawbones and shrinks at the Veterans Administration have diagnosed me as being a 100% disabled, bipolar, paranoid, schizophrenic. I know this to be a fact because I managed to steal my VA file long enough to read through it. Now, bipolar is just a bucket-thingy they call you that is undefined, but hints of being scatterbrained so they can mess you around any way they please, and they call you paranoid, so if you complain, they can use it as proof that your complaints are just paranoia. The schizophrenic hashtag refers to people who have delusions of grandeur or blind to their own faults while constantly nitpicking others and speak of themselves in the third person and are compulsive sensation seekers. My, oh my, I'm glad I don't know anybody like that. Hey, wait a minute, just a minute. I do know somebody like that. By golly, that sounds exactly like our glorious empire. Oh my goodness. This is the AWOL gong. I got this freedom-loving gong for a 3-day AWOL in lovely Vung Tau, Vietnam. Now, later on, the Green Machine claimed I was AWOL for 3 months in Louisiana, but that's really desertion, and that's another gong. All small bags, as shown on the gong on the right, were called AWOL bags. AWOL means absent without leave. I had a 3-day pass to go to Vung Tau, but I stayed for 6 days total, making me AWOL for the last 3 days. I didn't get any trouble when I got back because Charlie Cump had been shot to tatters and all was confusion, so I skated on that one. This is the deserter gong. After about 5 months of meat grinder, Sugar and Dumbass decided to desert. Their cunning plan involved hijacking trucks of military cargo in Saigon and selling the stuff to Chinese gangsters to finance a wholesale poppy juice peddling business. Yeah, I like guys who think big. They invited me to haul ass with them, but I passed. It would have made a great Crosby and Hope movie, The Road to Saigon, starring Sugar and Dumbass. Now, later I learned that our two heroes mostly jackrolled other GIs and used the proceeds to shoot up that fucking Bobby juice. But hey, they did get us some Prezi deserter gong with a coveted gold wreath. Outstanding, guys. This is Hallelujah, It's a Miracle gong. This gong is awarded for outstanding achievements of a spiritual nature. I got one for a dine and dash in Vung Tau when I shouted, Hallelujah, it's a miracle, and then ran out of a restaurant without paying my bill. I got another for spreading the word around Cam's Inn that we white duds had caught the sky pilot in a Saigon cat house. It's called the miracle ketchup gong because miracles are the ketchup of religion. Any silly-ass nonsense can be made logical and yummy if enough miracle ketchup is poured on. So, the next time you fancy doing something really cool, whether it be a dine and dash in a restaurant or dropping napalm on a village, just shout, "Hallelujah, it's a miracle!" And it all becomes logical and Christian and patriotic. And besides, you get this cool looking gong. This is the maggot gong. This gong is inspired by the character Maggot in the movie The Dirty Dozen. Maggot entered into a state of grace, unquote, and stabbed a woman to death who was tempting him. I know just how it feels. I've been in the same situation a lot of times. Anyway, the commanding officer of Charlie Company went on a pass to Saigon, but did not return. Oh my goodness. Then the rumor mill said that he had stabbed a hooker to death at a cat house, and that he had been sent back to the States to hush things up. Then the rumor mill said that the white DUDS had wasted him, and that he was sleeping with the fish in the Mekong River. Now, I do not know what the truth is, but just so everyone gets some sort of gong, our beloved commanding officer, Captain Mac, is hereby awarded with both the maggot gong and the sleeping with the fishes gong. Because I loved him so much, I hope he earned both, if you know what I mean. Okay, adios amigo. Try hold your breath as long as you can there, Sambo. This is the I've Been Pissed On for America gong, also known as the Order of the Yellow Banner. One night, Buzzy and I had to stand guard duty out at the berm. I showed up on time, but Buzzy was off on some dope run. Later, he showed up drunk as a pig, and I told him he would have to stand 2 guard shifts while I slept. So I stacked out, but as soon as I did, Buzzy pissed on me and took off running. I threw my steel helmet at the galloping junkie, but it went sailing right past his fucking useless head. Then I shouldered my M16 and was going to waste the fucker, but I didn't. By the way, this gong is not to be confused with the Order of the Yellow River, a Chinese gong, or the Order of the Guardians of the Useless Bitch for centuries at Buckingham Palace. This is the official squad thief gong. One day my squad leader, it's the bitch, called a squad meeting and said to me in front of the assembled squad, quote, "Chittum, I've noticed that you're awfully good at stealing stuff, so from now on you're the official squad thief, and from now on you're going to steal for all of us." Unquote. And then he sent me to battalion headquarters to steal a case of sea rations, which I did and got away with, and became an instant hero because there was a cigarette shortage and there were 60 cigarettes in every case. Hallelujah, it's another miracle. This is the garbage trail gong. This didn't happen while I was in the herd, but it's totally cool and revealing, so here it is. One day the 2nd Battalion was going out on a helicopter assault, and some Green Berets wanted to tag along for some purpose of their own. But the Green Berets were late in getting to the landing zone, and when they got there, the herd had already left. The Green Berets radioed herd headquarters asking for the compass bearing the herd guys had taken, but the herd refused to transmit it even in code for security reasons, and basically told them to go fuck themselves. So the cunning sneaky Pete's walked around the landing zone about 50 yards into the bush until they found the herd's garbage trail. Let's do the math. Each of the, say, 500 guys gets 15 cigarettes per day and smokes them mostly on the march, and they drop the butts wherever. Let's say 10 per day, let's say 5 miles equal
5,000 yards over which 5,000 cigarette butts are dropped. That's 0.568 butts per yard, plus all the other garbage like candy bar wrappers, C-ration cans, plastic spoons, empty cigarette packs, burnt matches, and insect repellent bottles, dead batteries, blah, 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 bloody bandages, whatever. When the Green Berets caught up with the herd guys couldn't figure out how the Green Berets found them, and the smart-ass Green Berets wouldn't tell them. Golly, do you suppose the North Vietnamese ever figured this little trick out? Mm-hmm.
This is a Socratic gong of practical military valor, also known as a running for your fucking life like a fucking chicken gong. Now I got this speedy gong for twice running for my fucking life from the pursuing NVA. That's right, I ran for my life and now I'm giving myself a medal for it. Now, Socrates, the great philosopher, was a free Athenian citizen, and as such he was drafted into the Athenian army. One day Socrates and his buddies were bushed by a whole shitload of Sparkies, and they had to hoof it. Yup, Socrates skedaddled just like the rest of the guys. So, by golly, if it's smart enough for Socrates, then by golly, it's smart enough for me. I'm out of here. This is the escape from controlled custody gong, and this is how I got it. The military police had captured Sugar and Dumbass in Saigon and returned them in shackles to Camp Zen, and because they had been absent over 30 days, they were considered deserters. The military police informed Lieutenant Ringknocker that because all drunk tanks in jails were overflowing with drunk paratroopers, that they were his problem until they were shipped to the stockade in Japan. So, Ringknocker stupidly assigned me to guard them and gave me his .45 pistol and promised that beer and passes and forgiveness of my many military sins would be mine if I shot them both dead while they were escaping. Hint, hint, hint. After smoking some dope in the latrine, the three of us went AWOL to Benoit and got fallen down drunk. If the MPs would have caught us, I'd still be in the stockade. But I got this cool gong instead and fuck the green machine. This is the gong for impersonating another soldier. This gong is politically correct. It is politically correct because I was helping a poor innocent Jewish lamb escape his fascist tormentors by wearing his shirt and thus exposing myself to assault. Okay, so now technically speaking, I am willing to admit that I was helping my fellow criminal, Sugar the dirty cock rat, escape Camp Zen and go on a booze and drug binge. But, by golly, I want one politically correct gong, and this is the closest I can come, so it will have to do. Sugar and I swapped shirts so the fast-talking kike, I meant the charming Jewish fellow, could talk our way through military police checkpoints because Ringknocker gave me a note saying I was guarding two prisoners, Sugar and Dumbass. So Sugar got my shirt and the .45, and I got his shirt, and off we three went to the red light district of Benoit. Airborne. This is the jelly sandwich gong, also known as the crispy critter gong. A jelly sandwich is what we grunts called napalm bombs, and they were the scariest stuff of all. I say again, the scariest of all. These jelly sandwiches were long, shining cylinders that tumbled as they passed right over your head on the bombing runs. Book, 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 book. Now, if the zoomy bomber pilot had a few too many drinks at the officers' club the previous night and makes a mental miscalculation on his bombing run, then the jelly sandwich lands on you, and then you become the crispy critter. Book, 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 book. This is the He's Okay Gong. One dark night, your hero was loafing in the latrine, hoping to bum some intoxicants. By chance, the whites and Chicanos drifted out and blacks drifted in. Soon your hero, Chitsy, was the only white guy left, and he was in the shadows unnoticed. The assembled darkies began opining on white people, but they didn't call us honkies or whitey. They called us the man, unquote. It was the man this and the man that, and you never heard such bitching in all your life. Then one happened to see my white face, and he pointed directly at me and exclaimed, "Hey, watch it!" It was dead silent as they all turned and looked at me. Luckily, my black pal Leapin' Leroy then said, "Oh, that's Jim, he's okay," unquote. And that's how I escaped having my head stuffed into a barrel of shit and won this cool looking gong instead. Well, I think it's a pretty good looking gong. In any case, it's better than having your head stuffed in a barrel of shit. This is the pink elephant gong for hallucinating in combat. My head got so fucked up from, number 1, brain damage and shell shock, number 2, pills, mostly uppers and painkillers, 3, marijuana, 4, physical exhaustion, 5, unrelenting fear, 6, Agent Orange exposure, 7, sleep deprivation, and 8, and best of all, 10 high whiskey that I hallucinated while walking point. You know, a fella could have a pretty good weekend in a padded cell with all that stuff. Anyway, I hallucinated that I was a huge cannibalistic lizard and that I was going to kill and eat everything that fucked with me. Hallelujah, it's a hallucination. This is a That Was Nice Shooting Soldier Gong, which is awarded for nice shooting, like in the movie Dr. Strangelove, when General Ripper congratulated an attacking paratrooper for his machine gun marksmanship. I got mine down in the Mekong Delta when I hit a hut with my M79 grenade launcher and blew it the fuck up. It was over 100 yards away, a long shot for a grenade launcher. The platoon cheered me when I did it because we were taking sniper fire and they thought the guy was in the hooch. It was more likely that I just killed some toothless old mama son, but I need another gong, and what's a toothless old mama son, more or less? Huh, fellas? Okay, moving on. My friends, this is the sad and shocking tale of the Reverend Biggest Dickus, Part 2. I checked and it was no typo. It's all true. Some of the white duds caught His Holiness naked and drunk as Paddy's pig and attending to his earthly needs in a Saigon cat house. Oh my goodness. I personally helped spread the word to every tent in Cam's Inn, and our midnight humping Bible thumper had to carpet dance before the head sky pilot in Saigon to get some hallelujah, it's a miracle ketchup. At last report, our Randy Reverend was shearing the sheeple somewhere in Tennessee, and I bet he even got a good conduct medal from the Army. Amen, brothers and sisters. That's what it's all about. Hear ye, y'all. This here Presidential Unit Citation is hereby awarded to the infamous White Duds of the 173rd Airborne Brigade in recognition of catching a chaplain in a house of ill repute in his birthday suit. Oh my goodness. Now, I wasn't among those white dudes who caught the sky pilot attending to his earthly needs in a Saigon cat house, but I was one of the white dudes who spread the joyous news to every platoon tent in Camp Zen. So, in recognition of said services, I am hereby awarded the Hallelujah It's a Miracle Gong for outstanding contributions of a spiritual nature. Now listen up. If religion is the opiate of the masses, then surely miracles are the ketchup of religion. Because if you pour enough miracle ketchup on any silly-ass fairy tales, then wild Martians and similar rubbish will gobble it up. Yum, yummy, yummy. Hallelujah, it's a miracle. This is a badass bayonet fighter's gong. Now this is about as mucho macho as you can get, right? Well, unfortunately for my macho image, I only bayoneted my foxhole buddy in the ass when we were hoofing it out of an ambush. And we were both pretty much fucked up on pills as usual. I was just behind him and I tripped and lunged forward, bayoneting Buzzy in his ass. Now, as you might suspect, he was not happy and he called me everything except a Chevy pickup truck. Why was my bayonet fixed on my M16? Because I thought we were about to be overrun, so I had fixed my bayonet. I think I fixed my bayonet about 4 or 5 times in my year in the herd. This is a battlefield promoted useless piece of shit gong. This gong is reserved for people who are promoted in combat despite being useless pieces of shit. Like me. I will now explain. My fire team leader was killed in action, so my squad leader, It's a Bitch, had to choose a guy from the squad to take his place. Buzzy was too stoned. Leroy had told Lieutenant Ringknocker to go fuck himself. Nux was going to the stockade for beating up MPs. Juicer was falling down drunk all the time. Marty was just too fucking stupid. Crazy Ed was running around naked. The giggling super Polak had stopped speaking and was only good for chopping up dead bodies, and the new beat Cherry didn't know anything yet. Then, when It's the Bitch had denounced and threatened them all, he turned to me and spoke, and I still remember his exact words 50 years later. And all that leaves you, Chittum, you useless piece of shit. You're the new fire team leader. Unquote. And that, boys and girls, is how I got a combat promotion to fire team leader. Ain't you jealous? This is the don't shoot motherfuckers gong. I got this gong one night for avoiding being shot dead by a sentry for not knowing the password when I was sneaking back into Camp Zen while AWOL and falling down drunk. As I was rolling down the berm, I yelled, "Don't shoot, motherfuckers! I'm from Charlie Company." My thanks to the Tin High Devil who, for purposes of his own, obviously saved me from being shot dead by the jerk sentry who should have been smoking pot instead of freaking out about some password baloney. Hallelujah, it's a miracle. This is the fake patrol gong. I was only on one fake patrol during my year in Vietnam. One day I was shanghaied to go on a patrol with a squad of the 2nd Platoon because they were short of guys having been recently shot up. It was a routine patrol just outside Camp Zen. The patrol leader was a black career soldier, a sergeant. He called a halt, told us that this was a, quote, bullshit, unquote, patrol, and that we were going to stay right there and form a perimeter and call in phony radio reports until it was time to return to Camp Zen. And that's exactly what we did, and that was the only time I was on a fake patrol during my year in the 173rd Airborne Brigade, but they became increasingly common as the war ground on. Fake patrols for a fake war. By golly, that's close enough for government work. This is the ham and motherfuckers gone. The most despised sea ration of all was ham and lima beans, also known as ham and motherfuckers. It was so awful that you get a gong for trying just one spoonful, which I personally spat out. It was the stuff of legends, and legend had it that starving Koreans would throw it back at you. The ham was usually a single piece of gristle, and the beans tasted like cardboard soaked in green, putrid lard. One guy I knew claimed he offered some to a starving stray Vietnamese dog, and the varmint just sniffed it and then just stared back at him. My friends, it would take more than a miracle to make this stuff edible. This is a top secret black ops super duper commando missions gong. Ooh! I'm fed up with all these stolen valor creeps always claiming that they run top secret classified black ops commando missions, and I'm taking a personal interest in seeing these motherfuckers suffer. I'm not angry with them for lying about a bunch of silly ass Rambo stuff they never did in the first place. I couldn't care less about that baloney. I'm angry because they are implying that we line grunts aren't even worth impersonating. Besides, be advised that although we were line grunts, we white duds went on many top secret missions. Unfortunately, we were spotted by the military police about half the time, and whenever cat house or opium den or bar we were in, and we wound up hoofing it. On November the 8th, 1965, the USA suffered its first major defeat when 48 men of the 1st Battalion of the 173rd Airborne Brigade were killed in action in War Zone D. The NVA overran our lines and shot dead the few survivors. The assertion that the American military never suffered defeat in Vietnam was and remains a widespread hallucination generated by bullshit Pentagon press releases and maintained by Hollywood pig slop movies and gobbled up by flag-waving, Bible-thumping, wall-marching trash. This disaster was the first of many outright defeats suffered by the American ground forces. This is the gong I got for not helping beat up a pacifist medic, and this is how I got it. Some of the white duds stomped a pacifist medic real good, and he vanished. Some computer sent us a pacifist medic because our previous one was killed in action. I think they stomped him because he wouldn't carry a gat, and he basically didn't fit into our little gentleman's club, or whatever you might call it. Anyway, I got this stark little beauty of a gong for not helping stomp a pacifist medic, and the white duds who did get a presidential unit citation for tuning up the little goody-goody. Ha! Gongs for everybody. How about that?
This gong is the Order of the Jungle Fox. I would have gotten this gong except for deficiencies in honor, courage, leadership in combat, and steady nerves under fire. The actual recipient is Sergeant Franklin, who twice, more or less, took over the platoon and turned the tables on the NVA, sorting them out and saving our asses big time. Thank you very much, Sergeant Jungle Fox. Be advised that the Order of the Jungle Fox is not to be confused with a visually similar gong which I got, the Order of the Speedy Jungle Chicken.
This is Crazy Ed's Crazy Monkey again. He deserted today, I'm sad to say. He didn't have a real name, everybody just called him Crazy Ed's Crazy Monkey. Notable gongs include the Drunken Pig Gong, and the Desertion Gong. Here's what he told the other monkeys about us after he deserted, and I quote, "All they ever did was take intoxicants and human around all day. Some days they would take intoxicants and go outside their gate fortress and fight the humans of the jungle with their fire sticks and big knives. Other days they just stayed inside their fortress and took intoxicants and fought each other with their fire sticks and big knives. They smoked marijuana leaves all night long. During my captivity, it was just human shines and drunkenness all day and all night. Unquote. Well, there you have it, my friends. The 173rd Airborne Brigade couldn't even pass an inspection by a drunken monkey. Outstanding.
This is a pineapple surprise cake gong that Buzzy and I almost got, according to Buzzy, who said that the Frito Banditos in the next foxhole were going to roll a frag our way. So Buzzy and I piled up a great big thick heap of brush between them and us to deflect any midnight delivery of a pineapple surprise cake. Kabloom! Now this actually happened. We had to camouflage and protect our foxholes from the guys in the hole next to us. Not long afterwards, Buzzy got his second Purple Heart during a firefight, and he claimed one of the Frito Banditos shot him from behind. Hey, welcome to the 173rd Airborne Brigade, where midnight snacks are 100% recharged. This is the triage gong that Buzzy got the second time he was hit. The herd had been shot up big time, and there were mass casualties at the field hospital, so incoming wounded were divided into 3 triage classes. The first class for the wounded who were expected to survive, irregardless if they were treated or not, so they were given no treatment. This is the class that Buzzy was placed in. The second class were the wounded who were expected to die regardless if they were treated or not, so they were given no treatment and basically left to die. The third class were the wounded who might live or die depending on whether they were treated or not, so they were given priority for immediate treatment. Buzzy told me that they shot him up with poppy juice and left him for several hours until he was treated. Welcome to the mass casualty situation of the 173rd Airborne Brigade. It's kind of like a big slot machine. If you get all your 3 cherries in a row, then you get priority for immediate treatment. If not, then you get shot up with poppy juice and thrown in 1 or 2 piles, and the 10-eyed devil gets to take whoever he wants. Welcome to the 173rd Airborne.
This is the always on latrine detail gong, which I prefer to think of as the Order of Hercules. Now, because I was a known malingerer and coward and thief, I was always on the worst work details, notably cleaning out the latrine. Now, I prefer to think of myself in more classical and heroic terms, such as Hercules cleaning the stables of Aegeus, one of his 10 mighty labors he had to perform when his probation officer, the Oracle at Delphi, put him on work release after a conviction for murder 1. And now for a salute to my favorite movie director, Oliver Stone, out of his mind for putting the latrine cleaning detail scene in his movie Platoon. Way to go, Ollie! This is the I'm not a rat snitch gong. I got it when the CID put an undercover rat snitch posing as a new guy replacement in the cot next to mine. Right next to mine. The brass were fed up with our never-ending white dud shenanigans, but we white duds figured him out mucho pronto, and nobody squealed, and the CID rat snitch vanished after about a week. I'm pretty sure they put him in the cot next to mine because Lieutenant Ringknocker thought I was the leader of the white duds. As far as I'm concerned, the only good CID rat freak snitch is one with his head stuck in a barrel of latrine shit. Amen. One day, Lieutenant Ringknocker ordered that our gaps will be henceforth kept under lock and key in a rack and only issued to us when needed, such as going on guard duty. It wasn't stated explicitly, but we all knew that it was because Ringknocker was fed up with the chaos and was delusional enough to think that his prison warden plan would change things. The career NCOs didn't like this order at all because they perceived it as an insult to their ability to control the guys, so Ringknocker rescinded his order. Ringknocker's problem wasn't really his plan. His real problem was believing that a plan of any sort would work. To live in the little dollhouse world built for him at West Point, little wind-up toys like Ringknocker had to be willfully blind to the real problem that the guys did not want to die, and that this condition was not fixable. I do wonder if Ringknocker ever celebrated his 13th birthday. This reminds me of the old joke about Vietnam. Question: what's the difference between the American military in Vietnam and the Boy Scouts? Answer: the Boy Scouts have adult supervision. That hit it right on the head, and Lieutenant Ringknocker was a perfect example of this problem. Late in my tour, I decided to desert because I didn't want to die. My plan was to desert with all my combat gear and my M16 and walk all the way to India. And on the way there, I was going to shoot anybody and everybody that fuck with me. And when I got to India, I was going to tell them I was a pacifist and could they kindly give me a one-way ticket to Sweden. I stockpiled malaria pills and swiped the compass. I needed a map, so I got one in a bookstore in Saigon. I was going to desert with my M16 and escape and evade all the way to India. Yeehaw! That's how desperate I was. Okay, I abandoned the plan mainly because the brass said we'd be rotating home after 1 year, and my year was almost up. So I decided to stay and take my chances. So I only get the second-class version of the deserter gong without the lovely gold wreath that my white dud pals Sugar and Dumbass got. This is the order of the log, the machine gun, and tin-eye whiskey. And this is how I got it. One day, the 3rd platoon was being shot to dog meat in an ambush. Another white dud and I spotted a nice big log, and we jumped behind it. An NVA machine gunner saw us and began shooting long bursts at our log. The guy was gnawing away at our log like a giant beaver. Big wood chips were flying all over, and both of us were freaking out. Bark, bark, bark! I think the other guy was one bald Charlie, but I'm not sure. I looked at him and yelled, "How long do you think it's going to take that motherfucker to eat his way through our log?" The guy yelled back, "I don't know, but I'm not going to die sober." And he pulled a fifth of tin-high whiskey out of his pack, and we killed the whole bottle in maybe 20 seconds. And then eventually the machine gunner stopped firing, and we eventually hoofed it out of the area. I'm sure it was the intervention of the tin-high devil who spared us, because we guzzled tin-high whiskey. The whiskey so fine that even guys about to be machine gunned to death choose it. This is a gong for hiding behind the bodies of your dead buddies. I got this gruesome gong when I stacked up 2 dead guys in front of my foxhole during the shootout at Landing Zone Zulu. At the Battle of Hill 875, guys from the 173rd were fighting from behind a 4-foot-high wall of body bags, which I think is a record of some sort. Welcome to the herd, motherfuckers. This is Colonel Dexter, the commander of the 2nd Battalion.
He is mainly remembered in military history for twice threatening to send me to the stockade. And for getting into a face-chewing contest with a Tijuana pit bull. Yeah. Notable gongs include the badass bayonet fighter gong for ordering the wounded at the aid station to take up their weapons and fix bayonets when we were about to be overrun by the NVA during a shootout at Landing Zone Zulu Zulu. There we were, the glorious Imperial Legion, backed by swarms of jet bombers and attack helicopters, and we were about to be overrun and butchered to the last man, and we're down to fighting with knives and clubs. How did we manage to piss away all of our advantages so that we were down to a Tijuana alley fight? Outstanding. This is the story about how Super Polak got him 3 really cool gongs. After the shootout at Landing Zone Zulu Zulu, Super Polak was point on a patrol that was sweeping our perimeter. They came across an NVA guy who was all fucked up and laid on the ground with his back against a tree. He didn't have a gat, and he raised his hands in surrender, and he smiled and laughed to indicate his non-hostile intentions. Super Polak slowly walked towards him, and Super Polak was laughing and giggling his insane giggle just like usual. Then Super Polak stuck his assault rifle at the guy's face and gave him one last giggle, and then he gave him a burst on full auto. And that's how Super Polak got these 3 really cool gongs all at once. The watermelon head gong, the fuck you motherfucker blam 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 gong, and the General Ripper knife shooting gong. Outstanding. This is a gong for capturing commie propaganda. The frag scored a direct hit on the sniper's hooch, blowing stuff all over the place, and, thus encouraged, I did a Rambo charge, spraying away on full auto. The frag also blew a box of commie propaganda leaflets sky high, and they came raining down on me like confetti. The sniper had hauled ass, and there I was, spraying away at nothing and being rained on by confetti. Crazy Ed thought it was the funniest thing he had seen in his entire useless oxygen-wasting life, and he rolled around on the ground laughing, and then the whole squad started laughing at me. Well, fuck 'em all. I'll just give myself another gong, the capturing commie propaganda gong, and fuck any armchair commandos who think it ain't pretty. Ah.
This gong is the Sucker El Puncho El Grande. This outstanding gong is reserved for enlisted men who sucker punch a commissioned officer. That's why it has the coveted gold wreath. It was awarded to a 3rd Platoon guy, Big Bad Leroy Whitlock, the pride of Chicago South Side, for laying out Lieutenant Ringknocker, who promptly got up and shot the dude 7 times. Welcome to the herd, motherfuckers. Never a dull moment. This is the Tres Blato Rambo Charge Gong. I got this mucho macho gong for actually charging an enemy position while I was high on Tenai whiskey, weed, and pills. It was the only actual brave thing I did in a whole fucking year of combat. First, I chucked in a frag, and after I went kaboom, I charged, spraying away on full auto, just like Rambo in the movies. This is the Saigon Commando. The brass in Saigon were so fed up with our endless white Dud shenanigans that they sent a Saigon commando to lecture us on crap like the Geneva Conventions, mutiny, assault, drug dealings, and desertions. They marched the entire 3rd Platoon to battalion headquarters, and there was an overweight, over 40 regular Army major in full Saigon commando uniform, consisting of a beret, aviator sunglasses, polished jungle boots, a huge commando knife, and a huge commando pistol, and clean pressed fatigues, and all topped off by a camouflage ascot. Yes, an ascot, one of those little things that rich people wear around their necks. Some of the guys started giggling, which turned into howling laughter, which was suppressed by the sergeant in charge of us. This is proof that news of our white Dud shenanigans had reached at least as far as Saigon, and maybe even far as the Pentagon itself. This really happened. I'm not making up a thing. This is the gong for being interrogated by the CID. The CID was the Army's FBI. One day they set up a tent right outside the 3rd Platoon. Uh-oh. A list of names was read. My name was one, and MPs with shotguns encouraged us to stand in line and keep our mouths shut. We were questioned one by one inside the tent by 2 officers with 45s, while MPs with shotguns gave us nasty looks. Oh my goodness. The questions were mostly about drug dealings and murder, of which I knew absolutely nothing. Almost all the guys questioned were white Duds, but the Parkers never used the term white Duds, and as far as I know, nothing ever came of it all, except that I got another cool gong. Thank you very much. Well, friends, I think there's only one thing left that we can do concerning all these allegations about the white Duds and their alleged misconduct. Friends, I think it's time to apply a little miracle ketchup. Yeehaw! Hear ye, hear ye. This here Presidential Unit citation is hereby awarded to the infamous white Duds of the infamous 173rd Airborne Brigade in recognition of 1. Planning mutinous and lethal assaults on their commanding officer. Outstanding. 2. Being rounded up and questioned by the CID at gunpoint. Outstanding. 3. Burning down the ammo bunker while cooking poppy juice. Outstanding. 4. Catching the chaplain naked and drunk in a whorehouse. Way to go, fellas. 5. Rioting in and demolishing the United States Air Force Enlisted Men's Club at Benoit. Outstanding. 6. Bar brawls too numerous to list individually. 7. Fighting the Mexican drug gangs. 8. Rioting at the Playboy Bunny Show. Outstanding, fellas. 9. Going AWOL to off-limits bars. 10. Beating up a pacifist medic. Oh, how politically incorrect. 11. Tearing down a cat house. And 12. Loading the motor pool. Airborne and outstanding, guys. You will live forever in military infamy. This is a hallelujah. It's a miracle gong. As a reminder, this gong is awarded for outstanding conduct of a spiritual nature. I got another award of this very commendable gong my last night in country when I bought drinks for my 2 thirsty white Dud buddies, Sugar the Dirty Cock Rat and Dumbass, who had just gotten out of the stockade and hadn't had a drop to drink in about 6 months. I was in the enlisted men's club at the Saigon Repple-Depple, and I saw them trying to bum drinks. We 3 spent the rest of the night drinking together. They had to go to line units for 6 months to make up for the 6 months they had been in the stockade. Bummer. If they had not deserted, they would have probably been going back home with me on the Freedom Bird the next day, so they were totally bummed out. But at least I got some free drinks all night long, and I got this cool gong for being a nice guy and buying the drinks. Goodbye, sugar and dumbass. California, here I come. This is the gong I got for running from a supply sergeant at the Saigon Rebel Depot. What could possibly be more appropriate for my very last day in Vietnam than another award of the Run or Get Plucked gong? After my boozy night with old comrade Sugar and Dumbass, I woke up in a cot full of vomit. After a shower, I went to the appropriate supply shack to turn in my vomit-soaked sheets. The lifer supply sergeant was not happy with the vomit-soaked sheets and vaulted over the counter to give me a going-away tune-up. Needless to say, I outran the lard-ass old lifer in the maze of tents. After that, I forged a signature on the form saying I had turned in all my stuff, and I got in line to board the Freedom Bird. Bye-bye, Vietnam. The Freedom Bird, when the pilot turned the engine on full blast, the civilian jet airliner we were on shook, and we accelerated down the runway. The instant the plane lifted off the ground, a huge cheer went up. Many of us were combat vets from the 173rd Airborne, and for us, it wasn't just a trip home. It was a pardon from death row. The stewardess were super cool gals, and bottles of all sorts were soon passed around. My brain just switched off, and I went into a sleep deprivation trance, trying to adjust for not being in a state of constant fear for months on end. The nightmare was finally over.